Thank you for joining us today. So far this week, you've heard from different teams across Sentry talk about new ways they've launched to help you monitor your code. Today, we're going to be giving you some insights from our SDKs and our integration platform about how we try to ensure that no matter what programming language you're working with or what tool stack you have, that you'll find ways to integrate with Sentry and take advantage of some of those new features. Now I'm going to talk about some of the things that we're going to get into today. First, I'm Stephen Eubank. I am the product manager for SDKs here at Sentry, and mostly today I'm going to be talking about the JavaScript ecosystem and some of the things that we've done to ensure that we're able to support things going forward in this ever-evolving ecosystem. Mainly that'll be about the Deno SDK, the Bun SDK, and we're getting into how existing frameworks like Next.js and Remix benefit from some of the work that we've been doing there. Then we'll be joined by Droomhill, the product manager for ecosystems here at Sentry, and he's going to be talking to you about our integrations platform, some of the new integrations that they've shipped for Opsgenie and Discord, and then we will be joined by product managers from Cloudflare and LaunchDarkly to talk about their integrations with Sentry. First off, I'd like to address that Launch Week doesn't make all that much sense for SDKs because SDKs are always shipping. We're always monitoring the ecosystem, always monitoring these programming languages and frameworks to see when they have new releases, new features, bugs. We have to react to those every time, let alone if there's major changes like the ones we discussed today. I mean, in total, we have over 90 different programming languages and frameworks that we support at Sentry, but these are a subset to call out JavaScript and how much we shipped there this year, Python, and not to mention Java and all the other backend languages that we support, and some of our mobile SDKs like React Native, mobile, Android, and many others. We're constantly monitoring and working to make sure that we stay up to date and support all the latest things that evolve out of those ecosystems. Or one of those major things being monitoring the JavaScript ecosystem. There are very many frameworks, and now there's more and more runtimes to support. Your JavaScript code can run in a browser and a node server, and as we'll discuss, in different edge runtimes. And we want to be able to support all of those. And that's where it gets into a little bit of the nuances of why we had to do this reworking of our SDK. Because within all that chaos does come a lot of innovation. So as mentioned, we have Node, Deno, Bun. And if you don't know that much about Deno and Bun, let's say there are new JavaScript runtimes to run your JavaScript code on the server that will enable things like server-side rendering. But one of their simple things that makes it problematic is that they don't support Node APIs. And so many JavaScript applications, like our JavaScript SDK, has to evolve. It has to adapt. We had to do some re-architecting so that we could deploy a version of our JavaScript SDK into those edge runtimes to be able to monitor your code no matter where it's running. Because we don't care if it's in a browser, in a node server, or in a new fancy edge runtime. We want to be able to be there to support you. And that's why we are excited and happy to announce that we have, in fact, our Deno SDK and Bun SDKs out there, and we want people to support them. And while these SDKs or these runtimes are controversial for some, as they are promoted or at least branded by some as these kind of Node alternatives, many say that they maybe will never be able to replace Node. But to Sentry and many companies out there like us, that's not really the point. We want to make sure that for the developers that want to use it and find ways to take advantage of it, that they will be able to. Further, there's our partner companies out there that are finding ways to make sure that it is accessible. So companies like Vercel, Cloudflare, Shopify are all finding ways to work that make this new runtime accessible to you. If you've never heard of Deno and you've never heard of Bun, you've probably never heard of WinterCG. WinterCG is much less known, but it is ultimately the specification. It doesn't exist. It's not the actual runtime. You can't run any of your code there, but it is the basis upon which what Deno looks at to define how it will work. And that's where it gets into all these things where you no longer have Node APIs and they want to have a fast running server to run pieces of JavaScript code closer to your users all around the world. And that's what these companies have done. And we'll get into that about how these companies like Vercel and Shopify are working on frameworks to make these accessible to you. And we look at all of those frameworks and these runtimes and try to find ways to continue to go wherever you go. Vercel famously brings you Next.js. Next.js, for anyone who hasn't heard of it or hasn't worked with it, is a very popular React-based framework with Node in the backend. It is what's called a full-stack JavaScript framework, which enables you in one repo to be able to build full solutions. So this is what enables in one place that you can do things like server-side rendering. Next.js has famously, since major release 13, developed a new paradigm for developing these modern React applications to enable things like server components and server-side rendering. And all of that we're happy to support, whether it's the old version or the new app router, we support it with our SDK. But Vercel doesn't stop there, and neither do we. Vercel is also bringing you their Edge runtime. The Edge runtime, as we mentioned, is based on WinterCG and some of these new runtimes that we've been going through and this evolution of the JavaScript ecosystem. And now you can deploy your application on Vercel. You can deploy a Next.js application anywhere, but if you do deploy it on Vercel, you do have the potential to deploy pieces of your application into this Vercel Edge runtime that will run closer to your users, and our code will run there as well. Because again, we don't care if we're monitoring your React code for Next.js or your Node code or your new fancy Edge runtime. We want to be able to be there wherever you go, capture errors, capture all these insights from your applications, and send them to you so you can see them in Sentry and React. And Next.js is not alone in these efforts. Next.js is also having partners or other frameworks out there in the wild. Remix is something that is backed by Shopify now, and it is another similar full-stack framework with React in the front end and Node in the back end. And they've again tried to find ways to have that it's not dependent on Node APIs so that it can run in these Edge WinterCG-based runtimes. And we as well are looking at that, and part of the reason why we did that re-architecting is to make sure that we have a future where we can continue to support you, no matter where that code goes. And in this case, we again see where you have this evolution of frameworks always popping up. We have Remix, which is much newer, and many people maybe haven't heard of that, but then again, we have Hydrogen, maybe even lesser known. But these things are backed by Shopify, and they're making it sure that within this Remix framework, it has all these tools and utilities that you might need to build a modern solution for your storefront. And no matter what it is, we want to look at these things and make sure that our SDK is built to support you. But ubiquity doesn't end here. Now that you've seen how we try to address these emerging platforms, we want to show you how, through our integrations platform, we want to ensure that no matter what your tool stack is, no matter what tools in your tool chain, we want to have an integration available to you. So Drumhill is going to get into our integrations platform and talk about our new integrations for OpsGenie and Discord, and then we'll be joined by product managers from LaunchDarkly and Cloudflare to talk about their very own integrations with Sentry. And with that, I'll hand it over to Drumhill. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Drumil. I'm a product manager here at Sentry, and I'll be sharing some exciting integration updates with you today. Steven talked about being a part of your workflow. No matter what you use for your SDKs or your developer tools, Sentry is everywhere. That's why we have over 50 integrations to connect with your tool chain. They are easy to set up, and you can build your own integrations too. Let's talk about a type of integration that's important to every organization: alerting integrations. When things break, you want to be notified at the right time and the right place. You want these alerts to go to your team in their preferred messaging channels. We integrate with apps like Slack, Teams, PagerDuty, but we know developers use other tools too, and we want to bring Sentry to them as well. That's why we've shipped 2 new alerting integrations with Discord and OpsGenie, allowing you to send critical alerts to these channels. Let's see these live in action. Let's start with Discord, a chat tool that's popular with open source communities. To demo the Discord integration, I've already created an alert rule that is triggered anytime a new issue is created. To send my notifications to Discord, all I need to do is select the Discord server, add the channel ID, and I can select the tags I would like to see in Discord as well. I want to jump to a link in my directory and I see an error. My team uses Sentry and the Discord integration, so I got an alert for this issue in my Discord channel itself. I can assign this issue to myself from Discord, and after some debugging, I know it's a one-off error, and I simply archive this issue. All of these changes will be synced back to Sentry, so when I jump to my Sentry issue, it's already archived and assigned. And that's a wrap for our Discord integration. The other integration we shipped is with OpsGenie. OpsGenie is an on-call management solution that lets you route alerts to teams and channels based on who's on call at that time. For OpsGenie, I don't want Sentry to notify me for every issue. In this case, I'll set up an alert rule that will notify OpsGenie only if Sentry sees more than 10 errors in an issue in a 5-minute interval. That way, I know that the issue may be problematic. To send a notification to OpsGenie, I just added an alert rule action that notifies an OpsGenie account and team, and I can also select the priority with which the alert needs to be created in OpsGenie. Let's go back to our web app and throw a bunch of errors by rage clicking. Now that I've thrown more than 10 errors in a short time, my OpsGenie account has received the alert for this issue. When I click on the issue, I can see all the tags for my issue. We have the issue URL and the triggering alert rule so that I know what caused and sent a notification to me. I can acknowledge or close this alert in OpsGenie itself or even assign it to the right team, and this is how Sentry's OpsGenie and Discord integrations help you send your notifications to the right place at the right time. We'll continue investing in our integrations and building more of these, but you could build your own Sentry integration on a platform and make it available to the thousands of organizations using Sentry. And here's how. Sentry has an integration platform that provides webhooks, UI components, OAuth installation, and APIs to help you build custom integrations. So you can build integrations where your UX components show up in Sentry. Like how Linear and Shortcut allow you to create tickets from the Sentry issue itself. Or you can build API and webhook-based integrations like Grafana did for visualization, or like Vanta did for access management. Integrations can also be internal, only for use within your organization. Instacart built a custom internal integration for detecting bad canary releases using our APIs. We continue to invest in this platform, and we recently published several APIs to help developers build richer integrations. Cloudflare and LaunchDarkly are partners who have recently shipped powerful integrations built on top of Sentry's platform. Let's hear more from them about how their integrations make your workflow better. Without further ado, I'm going to welcome Tanushree from Cloudflare to share a bit more.
Thanks, Dharmil. Hey everyone, my name is Tanushree and I'm a product manager at Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a web infrastructure company. We have a huge network of distributed servers that run in over 300 cities across the globe. We provide services like caching to speed up web applications. We have security products like DDoS and firewall that sit in front of your applications, as well as a whole developer platform that allows users to build and deploy full-stack applications right on our network. Our serverless compute platform is called Cloudflare Workers, and with Workers you can execute JavaScript code globally running on Cloudflare's edge. There's a ton of things that you can build on our developer platform, from your own personal website or blog, to backend services like APIs, to AI workloads like chatbots or translation services. It's a really, really exciting time to be a developer. But if you're a developer, you know that if something can go wrong in your code, it will go wrong. Observability is incredibly important to the developer experience. Developing, if your worker starts triggering an exception or users are reporting in bugs, you want to be able to easily pinpoint what's going on, where the error is occurring, and figure out how to resolve that. This is why we are really, really excited to partner with Sentry on building out Workers and Sentry integration. With Sentry's exception management tooling, we can give developers visibility into exactly what's happening in their applications. And we've built out a really, really streamlined flow to do this. So instead of talking about it, I'm going to show you exactly how this works on Cloudflare.
I have this Sentry test worker. I'll show you what this application does. It's very, very simple. Handles requests, and for any request that goes to this URL that the worker runs on, it responds with a status 200, all good. But if the request goes to this /unexpected error path, it throws an error that we have not handled in the code intentionally. And then if it goes to expected error, then we cache the error and return a 500 status code. So this is just to show you the different code paths that the worker can enter in, and we'll demonstrate these in Sentry and show you the events in Sentry as well. Before going to Sentry, we're going to install the integration on our worker. So I'm going to go to integrations, add the Sentry integration, give this integration permissions to add a tail worker, which is what's used behind the scenes to send events to Sentry. I'm going to OAuth into Sentry, and then I'm going to click my project. And once I do that, I'm able to configure specifics around what data I want sent to Sentry. So headers that I'd like to block from being sent, maybe they contain sensitive information. I can set a sample rate for specific status codes. I'm going to go with these defaults today, and then I can also set a sample rate for exceptions. And then all I have to do is add this integration. It'll take a second. There we go. And that's it. And I'll show you how it works actually by triggering those exceptions that were in the code. So I'm going to go to this worker. This is a route that it runs on, and we see the all good status, which is what we expected. And then I'm going to go to one of the paths that we had outlined in the code that you saw. So /expected error, and returns caught the error. And then I'm going to, let's do this again for the unexpected error. And then you can see an exception was thrown. Now I'm going to navigate to my Sentry project. This was the project that I configured in the integration. I'll give this page a refresh. And there we see the well that was expected show up here. And this is from the worker, this is the route that it was triggered on, and you can see a lot of details around the event itself. So a ton here to help you debug. That's it for the integration. It's been a pleasure working with the Sentry team to build this out, and we're excited to add more features, hear feedback about the integration as well. So happy building, and I'm going to pass it back to Drupal now.
Thank you, Tanushree. It was great to see how this integration lets developers monitor their Cloudflare workers with Sentry. Now, let's hear from Rachel about the integration that LaunchDarkly built.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm a product manager at LaunchDarkly. LaunchDarkly is a feature management platform that allows engineering teams to release and test new features using feature flags. Using feature flags provides control over feature releases and facilitates continuous delivery and experimentation. One challenge we identified is that when you are doing a limited release, like an incremental rollout or a release targeting a specific group of users, signal from that limited release can get obscured by the noise in the greater system. We built LaunchDarkly Release Guardian to solve this problem. Release Guardian allows you to connect metrics to your release and monitor changes in those metrics for regressions, which means that you can compare the audience that has seen the release to those who haven't, allowing for more sensitive issue detection. We wanted to integrate with Sentry error tracking so that users can be alerted if their release causes an increase in Sentry errors. We built this integration by creating a mapping system to map Sentry environments to LaunchDarkly environments, so that we could put Sentry errors into the correct LaunchDarkly environment as a metric. We redirected webhook pipeline traffic to our data pipeline infrastructure and subscription events to our application infrastructure to handle this integration. We then took advantage of Sentry's outgoing webhook service to ingest events and attribute them to contexts using the attached payload on the errors. By doing this, we can pass the LaunchDarkly context that allows us to determine the feature flag configuration on the Sentry error metric itself. Here's what it looks like in action. To start, I'm going to connect the key metrics I want to monitor to LaunchDarkly. My company uses Sentry to log and monitor errors. I'd like to monitor error events on this release, and conveniently, LaunchDarkly has an integration with Sentry. I can connect Sentry and LaunchDarkly in just a few clicks, mapping my Sentry production errors to my LaunchDarkly production environment. Once Sentry is sending error events to LaunchDarkly, I can create a Sentry errors metric. Naturally, I don't want errors to go up, so I'll set the success criteria as lower than the baseline. I can also configure this metric for use with different LaunchDarkly contexts, such as users and requests. It was that easy to connect my Sentry errors to LaunchDarkly, and metrics in LaunchDarkly can be used to monitor releases with Release Guardian or with LaunchDarkly experimentation. Once I have the metrics configured, it's easy for me to attach the metrics to my flag directly from the flag targeting page. For my flag, I want to monitor Sentry errors. I'll also measure latency, since I want to make sure that my change doesn't degrade the user experience. Then, I can turn on my flag and configure my release strategy. I'll monitor for 24 hours. That should be plenty of time to detect any major issues. I'll also have LaunchDarkly automatically revert my change if it detects an issue. I could also have LaunchDarkly just alert me and not roll back the flag. If I want visibility into how my release is going, I can see the metrics populate in real time. It's great to see how many users are seeing my new feature and how my feature is performing. If LaunchDarkly doesn't detect a regression during the monitoring window, it will enable my change fully. If an issue is detected, LaunchDarkly will alert me and revert the problematic flag change. In the case of Sentry errors, I can debug in Sentry at my own pace, since the bleeding is stopped and the bad feature flag change has been reverted. Thanks to the team at Sentry for their help in making Release Guardian a reality, so that engineers can protect every release.
Thank you, Rachel, for demoing this integration that can help developers automatically turn off risky feature flags based on Sentry errors. Handing over back to you, Stephen.
Sentry is ubiquitous. We work with whatever you do. We are going to continue working hard to make sure that we can support emerging platforms like Next.js or Remix or new runtimes with Deno or Bun or anything running on an edge somewhere. We want to be wherever you write and deploy your code. As well, we're going to continue working with partners like Cloudflare and LaunchDarkly to ensure that we can integrate into your toolchain to make sure that your experience with Sentry is good. No matter what framework you use, or where you deploy your code, or how you receive notifications. Thank you to Rachel from LaunchDarkly and Tanushree from Cloudflare. And we will be continuing the conversation in Discord, so join us there. We love to hear your feedback and discuss with you what you think about our new integrations or what we're doing with our SDKs. If there's any questions you have or feedback or new things you want, we'd love to hear back from you. And further, we're always available on our GitHub repos for our SDKs or the main Sentry repo. And with that, I want to give a big thank you to everyone for joining, including Rachel from LaunchDarkly and Tanushree from Cloudflare. Thank you very much for your contributions today, and thank you to everyone out there.